Hello everybody and welcome back. As always, my name is Addie and this is the Knits by AJ Knitting Podcast and this is episode 40. Grumbly friend has once again come to join us. I'm pretty sure he's going to get down in a minute. You going to stop grumbling? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's going to... I'm pretty sure that he's going to get down in a minute and probably go and sleep over there somewhere. But anyway, welcome back. Or welcome if you are new. I've had a bit of a flurry of new subscribers and it's so lovely to have you all here. Welcome. And yeah, I have also got some knitting to talk about today. So I've got 3 finished objects and 2 whips to talk about, and then I've got some sort of yarny plans as well to talk about at the end. So yeah. As always, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as @KnitsByAJ, and anything that I talk about in these videos will be linked down below in the description box for you to find. I do apologise, I am really suffering with a cold at the moment, so if there are more cuts than usual, it's because I cannot stop sneezing and I don't really feel like I want to inflict you all with the sound of my sneezing. And yeah. Just feeling a little bit under the weather, but to be honest, quite surprised that it's taken this long for the first cold of the season to come for us. So, you know, it is what it is. Are you going to get down now? Because I need to show some knitting. Off you pop. Oh, okay, go that way then. All right. Okay. Okay, he is now asleep in my pile of whips, so we will deal with that when we come to it. First of all, I am wearing my ALDER sweater, which is a pattern by Rebecca CLOW of the Crea Bear. I knit this up earlier this year and it's now getting worn because it has cooled down quite significantly, and this I knit out of BC Garn Loch Lomond in the colours Pine and Sand, and yeah, I love this jumper. It was definitely a labour of love, but I really like it. It's so light, but also really warm because it's a woolen spun yarn. So yeah, very happy with this today, keeping me nice and cozy. So, like I say, I've got 3 finished objects this week, and the first of which is my daughter's Sorgenfri Jacket Junior. So this is a pattern by Guri Pedersen, and I knit this up out of folk fingering in the colour Alton Broad, which is this beautiful royal blue. I used a fingering weight instead of a DK, so I knit a size up. I knit the size 3 to get the measurements for the size 2, and I did manage to get the full measurements for the size 2. But this fabric is so squishy and this wool is very, very bouncy, so I think with a bit of aggressive blocking I could also get the size 3 measurements. I did not really aggressively block this at all. I didn't pin it at all. I just laid it flat and got measurements for size 2. So I think that this is definitely going to be a very nice long-lasting piece in her wardrobe. I did get a little bit of B-roll of my daughter wearing it. Bear in mind that she is 4, so it's not the best quality B-roll, but I will pop it up here. So I used a 4mm and a 3.5mm, which are the recommended needle sizes for this pattern. And this yarn blooms so beautifully that I don't think you could ever tell that this is a DK weight pattern that I've knit in fingering weight. It's so lovely. It's filled in so nicely. Like there's no sort of see-through parts whatsoever, and I think it shows off the texture really, really nicely. If you did want to use a fingering weight for a DK weight pattern, then I would definitely suggest Folk. It just blooms up so wonderfully, and yeah, it's just so squishy and lovely. Also, it softens up beautifully. I did get a little bit concerned. I tried this on my daughter last week just after I filmed, when I had only got the end of the sleeve to do. And she did say, oh, it's a bit itchy, which was like ringing alarm bells for me. But after blocking, she says it's absolutely fine. It's very, very soft. So I think it is definitely just one of those yarns that the wash, like the soak in the wool wash and everything, just softens it up beautifully. It makes it like next to skin soft for her. my daughter does have quite a high tolerance when it comes to wool and alpaca, but not a very high tolerance when it comes to mohair. So it is definitely a personal preference thing. But still, I think it's an absolutely wonderful yarn. And I'm really glad that I chose to knit this pattern, because I think, like I say, it shows off the texture beautifully. I used these little cute heart buttons that my daughter chose whilst we were on holiday. I cannot link these because the shop that I got them from doesn't actually have a website. It was just a small haberdashery that was in the town that we went on holiday. So unfortunately I won't be able to link those. But I think they are a lovely little addition. I think the light blue really kind of pops against this dark blue and kind of lightens it up just a little bit, and the little hearts make it a little bit more fun for a kid's jumper as well. So yes, very, very happy with this. So I cast this on August the 19th, and I cast it off on September the 25th. So this was on my needles for a grand total of 38 days. And I would definitely recommend this pattern. I stalled on it a little bit, mainly just because I had other things on my needles, not because I wasn't enjoying knitting it. So yeah, I would definitely knit it again. And yeah, I think it was a really lovely pattern, a really classic piece, really easy to style with lots of things in her wardrobe. And costing wise, the pattern cost me £4.95. The yarn cost me £36 because the folk is £18 per skein, and I used 2 skeins. I think it came out about 168 grams, so I still have a little bit left over. The buttons were about £1.80, they're about 30p per button. So the total for this cardigan was £42.75. However, 1 skein of the folk was gifted to me by my friend Laura, and so my total for this was £24.75. So yeah, very, very happy to be able to add to my daughter's knitwear wardrobe, because she has grown out of quite a lot of things this year. I feel like she's just suddenly shot up and things don't fit anymore. Okay, finished object number 2 is my Colorwork Cuff Club socks for the month of September. So I think we have all probably gotten quite bored of me explaining this pattern, but this is a monthly updated pattern by Summer Lee. So you buy the base pattern, and then you are sent a new Colorwork chart for the top of your sock every month, and she's releasing them every month from August 2024 to July 2025, and some months there are 2 charts. October there are 2 charts that got released yesterday, and so I'm really glad that I've managed to get my September pair off of the needles, ready to now cast on my October pair. So I chose to do the colourwork just on the cuff, not the option to do it all the way down the sock, and I used Rico Socks Neon in the colour 5, Cascade Heritage in the colour Citron, which is this lighter green, and then West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in Marshmallow, which is the white, and Spruce, which is the dark green. And yeah, last week I only had, I think it was like 9 stripes left of the foot of sock 2, and I managed to get that done over the weekend. It was really nice to have a little bit of stockinette. It kind of like reinvigorated my sock mojo a little bit. So I'm really excited to get cast on with the October chart. But I absolutely love these. They are just the bright socks that I have been dreaming of, really. I think the neon really kind of brings them to life a little bit. And actually, I kind of want just a vanilla pair in this neon green and the stripe and the spruce. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, I absolutely love a green pair of socks. I absolutely love green, as we all know, it's everywhere. But yes, I'm absolutely thrilled to have these now in my sock wardrobe. I know a lot of people weren't really all that enthused by the September chart after the August one, but I really enjoyed knitting the gingham. I think it's really cute, and I think it's going to be something that I can kind of go back to in the future when I want a nice pair of colourwork socks. Perhaps I will go back and knit the all over gingham print later on, but for now I'm very, very happy with these. I think they are a lovely new addition, and I like the yarns actually. I like that they're a little bit more rustic than so the Cascade Heritage is a merino sock yarn, merino nylon, and the other two are not. I think the West Yorkshire Spinners has got BFL in it, and I'm not sure what the makeup of the Rico is, but they're definitely a little bit more rustic, and to be honest I quite like that for the bottom part of the sock because I feel that they wear a little bit better, especially since I wear my knitted socks all the time. I don't wear commercial socks anymore, so yeah, I think it'll give them a little bit more longevity going forwards. But I'm very much looking forward to being able to wear these now. If it ever stops raining, then I'd quite like to kind of get to the point where I have enough confidence to wear my Birkenstocks and socks out of the house. I wear them all the time in the house and in the garden, but I don't know, something stops me from actually wearing them outside of the house. But if I ever gain enough confidence, then I think these would be really great pair to wear inside my Birkenstocks. But anyway, I cast these on September the 2nd and I cast them off on September the 27th, and so these took me a grand total of 26 days to knit. And just a final look at them. They're just so bright and fun. And cost-wise, pattern costs, when I bought the pattern, it was £9.73. A ball of Cascade Heritage is £8.99. A ball of West Yorkshire Spinners is £8.49 per ball, and I bought two, so that was £16.98. And the socks Neon from Rico is £8.95 a ball, so that brings the total for these socks. If I had bought the yarns specifically for these socks, I didn't, they were just in my stash. The total would have been £44.65. However, if you buy the pattern now, then it will cost £10.92 because there was an introductory offer for the month of August when I bought the pattern. However, now the price has gone up. So yeah, would be slightly more pricey if you were to buy the pattern now, but you would get all of the previous charts as well as the ones going forward. But I still think that that's a really good value for money for essentially, what is it, over 12 sock patterns for essentially the price of like 2. So yeah, I still think it's really good value for money. And finished object number 3 is another pair of socks, but not a pair of socks for me. And this is the gradient pair of socks, vanilla socks, that I was knitting for my husband. So this was a self-drafted pattern. I kind of have like my own formula that I've managed to perfect for vanilla socks. And I knit this up out of Gusto Wool Echoes in the colour 1511. And I did a 64 stitch sock. I think I did 20 rounds of knit to per 2x1 rib. Yeah, so I did 15 rounds of 2x1 rib. I did 60 rounds for the leg and then a heel flap and gusset, and then I think I ended up on like 75 rounds for the foot and then just a wedge toe. And yeah, these have been MIA from the podcast for a little while because I finished sock 1 and then I got into sock 2 and then just put them down and just never picked them back up again. And over the weekend I had finished up my Colorwork Cuff Club socks and I thought, you know what, I want something that I can knit that I don't really have to think about. We had a load of errands to run, and so I was in the car with my husband and I thought, I'll take these and get them off my needles because he needed some new socks and I was sick of them sitting in a bag not being worked on. So yeah, it was really, really quick to work up sock 2 in the end once I finally put my mind to it and actually did it. But yeah, absolutely love how the yarn has worked up. I think I just stalled on them because once I was really interested in finding out how this yarn knit up because I had no idea what it was going to do when it was in the skein. Once I caked it up, I was kind of like, okay, well it's going to be a gradient. And then obviously I wanted to see how the colours would blend, how well it would go down, like how well it would blend down the sock. So after the first sock, and I knew that, I kind of just lost steam. But yes, very happy to now have these done and to be able to pass these on to him for him to wear. He is also suffering from this cold, so hopefully this might cheer him up a little bit, having a nice new pair of socks. But yes, very simple pair of vanilla socks ready for my husband to be able to wear. I cast these on August the 27th and I cast them off on September the 29th. So these took me a grand total of 32 days to knit. And yeah, I still have quite a bit of each cake of this yarn left over. So I think I will use that to make him a pair of striped socks as well a little bit later on down the line. So yeah. Oh, and I used a 2mm for my ribbing and then a 2.25 for the rest of the sock. So yes, another pair of socks for my husband. And cost-wise, pattern was free because I self-drafted these. However, there are plenty of free vanilla sock patterns floating about. And the yarn cost me £16. So the grand total for these socks was £16. So not too shabby. And that was all of my finished objects for today. And that brings me to my whips. So I've got 2 whips to talk about today. And the first one was one that featured in my autumn crafting plans video that I put up a couple of weeks ago now. And this is the Colette Pullover by SARI NORDLUND. Apologies about the kind of clicking noise. The needles just decided my needles are just sort of clanging together. So I was really excited to get this cast on, to be honest. It's been a pattern that's kind of been lingering in my queue for a little while. And I'm knitting this up out of British wool 4-ply from Woolly Knit. And I had previously used this yarn for another jumper, which I then frogged. So I have managed to cake up my yarn so that it is double-stranded, which makes it a little bit easier to knit from. Because this is a 4-ply and this pattern is for DK weight, so I'm holding this double. I only have one cake of this, sorry no, I only have one cone of this, which is about 500 grams. So I think I'm going to be playing a little bit of yarn chicken, but I'm quite happy to buy another one if I need to, but I'm not sure I will. So the pattern recommends using 4mm needles. I have gone up to a 4.5 to get gauge. And I think the gauge is 19 stitches and 28 rows, I believe. And I'm knitting size 1, and this is my progress so far. I'm not sure if I said, but this colour is Mustard Fields. And I do find that sometimes it comes up quite green on camera, but it is a true like mustard yellow. So yeah, I am surprised in how much progress I've managed to make on this, to be honest. I haven't really spent that much time knitting it, but it just knits up so quickly. I think because it's like the perfect mix between mindless and engaging, because the cable rounds are, or well, cable rows at the moment, are quite far apart from each other. So you obviously do a cable row or an eyelet row, and then you've got quite a lot where you're just knitting the knits and purling the purls. And yeah, it just means that you can kind of switch off for a little bit, and then it kind of brings you back with the engaging part, doing the cables and the eyelets. So yeah, I think it's a really lovely design. The neckband is looking absolutely enormous at the moment. I always feel like it does until you get the ribbing on there. But yeah, so I have finished the back piece, and I have then picked up for the fronts and knit those and joined those, and I think I'm very close to joining in the round for the body. I did have a bit of an issue picking up for the left front, purely on me, not the pattern. The first time I did it, I managed to knit the entire left front on the wrong needle size, and then I had to rip it back. And then once I picked up the stitches again, I had somehow managed to pick up the stitches on the wrong side, and I knit the whole thing inside out, which I did on my Sorgenfri jacket junior. I did that with the sleeve. I mean, I didn't manage to knit the whole sleeve. I'd only knit about 2 centimetres. But yeah, I was just sort of like, how on earth have I managed to do this? Not at all in the entire time I've been knitting, and now I've managed to do it twice. So that was quite irritating. So then I had to rip it back again, and the third time I did actually manage to knit it correctly. So yes, I have knit this section 3 times. The right side managed to do first time, so yeah, I don't know. Evidently my brain was starting to switch off with whatever cold I have now picked up whilst I was doing the left, and so I had to do it 3 times. But it's the joy of knitting, isn't it? Just being able to rip it back and re-knit it. But other than that, this has been pretty smooth sailing. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I am knitting size 1, which is going to give me about 23 centimetres of positive ease. So it's going to be oversized, but not enormous. So I'm hoping to be able to wear it like this one underneath my dungarees, but we shall see. This fabric is so stretchy. It looks quite small at the moment, but I think the cables are really going to grow. I do keep checking my gauge and I am spot on. So I think it's just going to be a really lovely autumnal piece. I did think it was going to clash with my hair, but I think it's going to be okay. But yes, I'm very, very excited. Although I think that this may go on hold once I have joined it in the round for a little bit, because I've got a test knit that I need to get going. Actually, I've got 2 test knits that I need to get going on. But yes, that is my progress so far on my Colette Pullover. And actually, I'm really glad that I've managed to kind of start on my autumn crafting plans. I feel like I really had to work hard last week to try and get things off of my needles so that I can cast on some new bits and bobs. But yes, very happy to now have this on my needles. And so I cast this on September the 25th, and so it's currently been on my needles for 8 days, and it's just so squishy. And that brings me to my final whip. So this is a test knit that I am doing for the lovely Iris of HIRIS Makes. I have test knit for her before. I test knit her Ivy top, which was an all over cabled t-shirt with some negative ease, and once again I am knitting a t-shirt pattern with some negative ease. I saw that, so I also knit her Lily top back in the summer. I wear that all the time, and this is kind of like a lovely crossover between the Ivy and the Lily. This is the Amelia top, and so it is a set-in sleeve knit in a contiguous construction, which I have never done before, so I'm very happy to be doing something new. And so the pattern suggests either 1.75 centimetres of negative ease or up to 5 centimetres of positive ease. I'm knitting mine with just under 2 centimetres of negative ease across the bust, because I really liked that negative ease that I had in the Lily top. Is it the Lily? No, sorry, the Ivy top. Over the bust, and I really love the fit of that, but I wanted a stockinette version, and when I saw Iris come out with this pattern, I thought it's absolutely stunning and I really want to test knit that, and I have gone for a more luxurious yarn for this. So I'm knitting this up in Cardiff Cashmere Classic in the colour Nero. Let me get a fresh ball to show you, because I'm, oh dear, I've thrown yarn over there. I really wanted something that was going to be a classic piece in my wardrobe that I can wear with a lot of things. I don't actually have anything in black for myself. I've knit in like a very, very dark grey, or like a kind of mild almost black for my husband, but this is a real like true black. So the yarn just looks like this, and it's just absolutely stunning. I really, really love this yarn. Obviously it's quite pricey, so it's not something that I can use every day, but I think that this is going to be a real staple piece in my wardrobe. It's kind of been one of those things that it's like all I want to work on, but I also don't want to not work on it. Like, I don't want it to be over, because it's just such a lovely yarn to work with, and the pattern is written so nicely. Okay, so here we are. This is also really difficult to show, because I didn't anticipate when I started knitting this how difficult it was going to be to capture the black yarn on camera. I always find that it either comes out, like it gets really blown out and it comes out grey, or you just can't see any of the stitch definition whatsoever. So I'm going to try my best, and I'll try and get some B-roll as well to try and make it a little bit easier to show. But and also this is really jangly because I also found whilst I was knitting this, especially when I knit in the evening, because it's black, I can't read my knitting as easily. So I've been putting in markers to mark my increase rounds, and so they're all clanging together. So apologies for that. So I am about 2 increase rounds away from splitting for the sleeves. And so this is my progress so far. I've really enjoyed doing this different construction, to be honest. So it like starts off like a drop shoulder, but then you knit a small amount of the back, and then so like just to increase for the shoulders, and then you knit the front, and then you pick up along the front and back for the sleeves, and then you start knitting in the round. So it's a set in sleeve, but you knit it in the round, which is a really nice way of doing it, compared to obviously like knitting like a drop shoulder, like the front and back pieces, and then picking up and knitting short rows for the sleeve. It's really interesting. And it's been a real kind of like trust the process for me, because obviously I've never done it before. But the way that Iris has written it makes it so easy. There's a bit of fluff flying around now. The way that Iris has written it, it makes it really, really easy to follow. And it's sort of like, oh, okay, yes, this makes sense. So yeah, I think if you've never done it before, I would definitely recommend this pattern, because she kind of holds your hand enough, but doesn't give you too much information to overwhelm you. So this is the sleeve portion. So this is the back, and then obviously this is the front, and then this is where I picked up for my sleeves. There is a bit of a point here, but that's where one of my ends is, and so I think it's going to block out. But yeah, I just think it's a really interesting way of doing it. And then obviously this is all formed by doing increases for the sleeves. It's just like magic, really. And I'm just so impressed with the fact that I've managed to knit this. Also, the like little bit of fuzz that this yarn gives, I think is absolutely stunning. Like I said last week, it's like you get that sort of halo effect that you almost get with mohair, but not so much as mohair. And it's not kind of itchy at all. This yarn is quite sticky though. I did find that. I think because I'm so used to, I'm going to put this down because it's really jangly. I think because I'm so used to soft yarns like merino being very, very slippery on the needles, whereas this is very, very soft but sticky like a rustic yarn, it just took a little bit of getting used to. And so I have had to go up a needle size. The pattern suggests to knit this on 4.5s, and I'm knitting this on 5mm needles to get gauge, and I think it is because it's just that little bit stickier when I'm knitting it, so it's making my stitches a little bit tighter. But I'm absolutely loving working with this, and I cannot wait to get to the point where I split for sleeves and see this really take shape. It's absolutely stunning. I think I've got 4 rounds to do, and then I'll be splitting for sleeves. And I think I might then be at the end of my second ball so I can get the neckband on to really kind of see how this is going to shape up. Oh dear, I'm all wrapped around my own foot. So yes, I am into my second ball. This is what I have left of the second ball. But these are 25-gram balls, so this is very, very light because this is only, well, this is less than 50 grams. Like the heaviest thing in here is the markers and the needles, which is a little bit kind of, it's very different to the other things that I have on the needles at the moment, the Colette Pullover, which is quite heavy. So yes, I think this is going to be absolutely wonderful, and I really can't wait to be able to wear this, but also will be very sad when it's done. So I cast this on September the 26th, so it has currently been on my needles for 7 days. So I think that's quite a lot of progress, to be honest, for 7 days. And so that is everything for knitting so far this week. I do have a couple of things that I will be casting on this week as well. So first of all, I will be casting on my other test knit, which is the West Sands Pullover by Journey Through Yarn, the lovely Rebecca. I will be knitting up size 1 in that as well. And my yarn arrived this week and I have caked it up all ready to get going. So I will be knitting this sweater in BC Garn's Loch Lomond in various different colours, which I will just get for you here. So my main colour will be sand, which just looks like this beautiful pinky beige that I spoke about last week. and then my contrast colours will be pine, which is also, so sand and pine are the colours that I use for this ALDER sweater. So yeah, pine will be one of my contrast colours, and then this is moss, and wood. This is nougat. So I think it's going to be an absolutely stunning, very earthy toned jumper. So this is all of them together. So it's a little bit different to the colours that I would usually use. It's much more muted, but I think it's going to be an absolutely wonderful piece to have in my wardrobe. And I think it will be very different to this one, despite the fact that it's in the same yarns and exactly the same colours. I think it's going to be a very different piece. But yes, I'm very excited to get these cast on in the next coming days. And the next thing that I will be getting cast on this week will be my Colorwork Cuff Club socks for the month of October. There are 2 charts that have been released this month, and I'm going to be doing the one with ghosts because it's October and you need a new pair of spooky socks. I knit up the Peachy Pumpkin socks by Stone Knits last year, and so I wanted another pair of kind of Halloween themed socks to add into my sock collection. And so I'm going to be using another of the yarns that I picked up whilst I was on holiday this year. This is the Superba Tweed from Rico, and it is in colour 5, and it's this beautiful tweedy green. It's essentially the green version of the blue that I used to knit up a pair of my husband's socks recently as well. And then my contrast colour, I'm just going to use the leftover West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the colour Marshmallow that I used for my September Colorwork Cuff Club socks. So yeah, these are going to be my colours. I was going to pick up another contrast colour to do like the eyes and mouth for the ghosts, but I think I'm just going to use this just to kind of simplify it a little bit, because I don't have a black in my sock yarn collection. But that is everything from me for this week. I just want to say a massive thank you for the reception from last week's video. There are so many new faces here, and like just all of the lovely comments and everything that I had on last week. It was so lovely, and I really appreciate absolutely every single one of you. Like I say, anybody who has watched, commented, liked, subscribed, everything, I'm just so grateful. Having said that, if you have liked this video, then please do give it a like, hit subscribe if you want to stick around, leave me a comment, let me know what you're knitting. I love to hear what you guys are knitting, and just having a general chat about knitting. I love the community that we've kind of made here. So yeah. I will stop waffling on now, and I will catch up with you all next week with some more knitting. Happy making!